Other interesting cultural news, you have Wayfair CEO telling the employees they need to work harder and is roasted by lazy people on the internet. Now, this comes to us thanks to Riva Gold, who is a editor at LinkedIn News, and the Wayfair CEO is telling the staff to, quote, work more. So this comes from us, again, this quote from the article head from Riva Gold saying, quote, time to work harder and blend your job into your personal life. That's the end of your message from Wayfair's CEO and co-founder, Nirja Shah, shared with the online furniture giant's roughly 15,000 employees after the company returned to profitability. Quote, working long hours, being responsive, and blending work and life is nothing to shy away from. There is not a lot of history of laziness being rewarded with success, unquote. He said in a note with the Business Insider. Shah also encouraged staff to think of company funds being spent as their own. Only in 2023 in the United States can Americans be so offended by such a simple, obvious message. And again, so many, I think it should almost be, again, I think everyone should work retail at least one summer or a couple months in their life to build character. And you learn a lot of lessons, actually. Truth be told, being a cashier at Cinemark all those lifetimes ago, you learn a lot. There's a lot of things I've learned. You built a lot of character, and your skin gets a little thicker. And a lot of people could really use a lesson on how to actually treat others the way to be treated. The amount of entitlement in the United States is unprecedentedly, disappointingly high. And again, they're telling people to work harder. Yes. Perhaps I always tell people, always lambast me. I always tell people I'm 58 years old mentally or something to that effect. But so many people want to be paid so much for doing so little. There's an article saying how millennials expect to be making, $500,000 in a couple years being in the workforce. That's so unrealistic, especially considering they vote for people who will increase their tax rates, so they'll never actually achieve that in many cases. But nevertheless, everyone is saying, "Oh yeah, he's so bad for saying this." Well, they just got their profitability, and this is one of the most precarious, uncertain times for businesses. Pretty much every 4 years, businesses, they're worried. They have no idea what the new presidential administration is going to do. Is it going to destroy the industry where they're in? Is it going to deregulate and actually decrease some of the regulations and actually give some incentives to grow their business, actually grow the category in which they're part of, the industry that they're part of? There's so many unknown variables. A lot of businesses start to decrease their spend because of that. And consumers, much the same, a lot of them actually decrease their spend as well. If you're watching the whole show, remember the first segment we talked about EV startups running out of capital and the adoption rate of EVs slowing down. I think partially because they're a luxury item no one actually needs. And if you're tight for cash, that's not a great long-term investment because, again, the battery will go bad, and that's a major expensive component of the vehicle. For now, might have some magical technology tomorrow that proves my whole theories out the window, perhaps. But he also continued to say, let's see. And then you have an economics professor, Nicholas Blooms, which nothing more useless than many professors, especially business professors who have never started a business. How useless is that? I was privileged in the fact that when I took some business courses, my marketing professor started multiple businesses and actually had real use case and real world examples to actually share with the class. So that was a good opportunity at Iowa. But again, so many professors that actually don't do anything, I can't help but notice, well, wait a minute, why didn't you do that? If all your ideas are so correct, why don't you go out there and prove them? And yeah, they can't and they won't. So Professor Nicholas Bloom says, quote, if Wayfair wants to run a business where people work 80 hours a week, he's going to have to put up their salaries by 50% to pay for them, unquote. No. I think actually one of the best ways to incentivize them, let me pull up the data really quick and double check. Yeah, I think one of the best ways you could incentivize them, if you are a publicly traded company, give them stock bonuses. A lot of tech companies do this especially, giving them an extra incentive to work like hell and actually hustle. A wise man once said, you never change the world working 40 hours a week. And granted, I understand not everyone wants to live that life. Some people just want to clock in, put in the minimum amount of effort, but you're going to get paid the minimum amount appropriately. Now, Wayfair's stock, in terms of year to date, is really good. Again, hindsight is always 20/20 with investing, but looking at Wayfair's long-term stocks, let's go 5-year trend. They're down negative 28.86%. Now, you're currently trading about $64.55 per share. Now, year to date, they're down, or actually up 100%. They started the year about, $32 per share. Year to date, they're up 97%. In the past 6 months, they are up 2.3%. In the past 1 month, they're up 22.12%. Past 5 days, they're down, not a lot, but negative 2.38%. So in the past year, they've been doing phenomenally, increasing their stock. I mean, that is really darn good. Now, granted, they've also had layoffs throughout the years. They posted a loss, I believe, it's a $355 million loss in, what was this, May? So they've had some issues. And interestingly enough, I can't help but think I'm probably alone in this assessment, thinking people actually do need to work like hell. Because again, when you have so much uncertainty, that's where you need to work even harder to ensure you maintain that profitability. In this case, they just got back to profitability. They need to not just maintain that profitability, they need to increase it. Especially when you're in something like the manufacturing industry, where one of the biggest issues is the cost of goods sold, the labor, the transportation, the logistics. We've seen global economic things that if you're a business shipping something from halfway across the globe, there are some things that are more difficult to control, such as trade routes, embargo. Like, there are a lot of variables that go into making these things work. And again, not all people, but many people want a low price point for furniture. Now, granted, you know me, I like to just make my own furniture, so this will last, 200 years plus? I mean, it's already lasted about, you can debate if it's lasted 100 years. The actual base wood for this table comes from a 150-year-old antique barnwood, the siding of the barn, that little barnwood. And then we put some epoxy on it, and it's 100% made in the USA by a Cuban. Me, that's a joke. But nevertheless, let's go in the comments. I suspect I'm the only one with this viewpoint, but let's dive in and find out. Again, this is the comments coming from LinkedIn. One of the most popular comments thus far comes from Tammy Tibbles. And she says, quote, knowing what I know about Nirja, I don't think his statement was intended in a manner that was received. However, it has been received this way, and Wayfair will be worse for it. Employees will resent his statements, and their behavior will change to reflect their resentment. But mostly, I suspect customers in the stock market will actively punish Wayfair for his poorly conceived and poorly delivered message. My advice to Nirja is to apologize and perform a full mea culpa. 14 people like that. That's one of the most popular responses thus far on LinkedIn, which is, social media for business. I personally like it. 14 people. Tell your employees to work hard is now considered mean. It's now considered a social faux pas. Heaven forbid people work more than 40 hours a week and want to make a dent in the universe. That isn't... Wow. Let's keep scrolling down. Let's see. Right, come on, let's see. Our top responses. This is one of the most... Let's see here. Oh. Microsoft. I was going to say, people always blame the network when it comes to a slow website or something like that. Now, thankfully, I have my own I test my network frequently at the home office. But I don't know. Microsoft maybe needs to buy more servers. Microsoft owns LinkedIn, one of the most largest tech companies on the planet. Let's see here. What are the top comments we got here? Let's see. Pay employees, reward them. I've heard a negotiation waiver. Emily Warden. Let's see here. Ooh, she is really upset. So she said, quote, I've heard, again, this is a comment from Emily Warden. She says, quote, I've heard negative things about working at Wayfair, and the CEO just confirmed it. Wayfair CEO Narji sent a backwards email to his employees lambasting laziness, saying, quote, working long hours, being responsive, blending work and life is not anything to shy away from. This is not a lot of history of laziness being rewarded with success. Hard work is an essential ingredient, the recipe for success. And she says, quote, I'm sorry, is this email from the 1950s? This statement is a massive step backwards and a shameful attempt to exploit workers and save money on, quote, natural attrition. Ridiculous. Sloth and laziness seem to be rewarded in the United States more and more. And again, I don't see anything offensive about that email. He's been quite transparent, saying, hey, our company was not very profitable. We just got profitable. We need to work like hell. Let me see here. And 203 people liked her statement. Only one person laughed at it. You may or may not be. No, you may or not know that one person. Jeez Louise. 87 people responded to her. Let me see here. Oh, jeez Louise. Another. Ooh, that'd be fascinating to see. Thus far, these are all the comments. Oh, again, this is anecdotal. We're looking at this in real time. Let's see. I wonder what the breakdown is between who is saying this. I'm suspecting not a lot of people in sales. One of the top comments comes from Malene Erickson saying, quote, I hope this was a wake-up call for every employee to go out as fast as they can. This was the working world when I started 100 years ago. She's not 100 years old. Well, she looks 100 years old. She continues to say, I'm delighted to see that we are finally reaching a tipping point, and I applaud the newer workers who are coming in and questioning the ways things were indoctrinated to believe are unchangeable. Work and life blurred? No, work is work. Your life is bigger. I will always advocate doing an honest day's work for what you're paid, but no longer subscribe to the notion that 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week is needed, much less required. If it is, get out. That's funny. Go to her profile. This gal is... She's a teacher, coach, and general path lighter at Fierce Zen. Also known as a bullshit job. Pardon the French. What was this? Maps your job. They are meant to build someone else's dreams. Encourage you. 20 years of teaching zeros to sell their C-suite. 10 years Reiki master, intuitive coach. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's see. I wonder if we can find any positive comments. Am I the only one? Let's see. Here's another top one. Jennifer W. says, quote, I was just thinking about making a purchase on Wayfair this week. I'll skip it. Wayfair just returned to profitability. Are they sharing those profits with the employees who are asking... who they are asking to give up personal and family life going forward? Not likely. When I hear of profit sharing, I will return as a customer. Jennifer, she, her on LinkedIn. Again, and I'm scrolling through all these. The top comments thus far are all female. Again, I'm not sure if that's confirmation. Well, thus far it's not confirmation bias because I'm just literally taking the top ones. Let's see, Jennifer W. If you look at Jennifer W., her banner is Stand for Justice on a business website. And she has 71 followers, and she is a customer relations specialist. Okay. Let's see here. Scrolling down more and more. This one's let's see. Katie Sorrento got 300 responses. She says, quote, I don't know what to do with this information. Wayfair reported increased revenue in Q3 and year-over-year increase, yet the CEO will be pushing for, quote, working long hours, being responsive, and blending in work life. What the actual hell? Mr. Shaw has reported net worth of $332 million, yet he wants his workers to work harder and harder. Again, I don't know how morally, mentally vacuous this gal is. Net worth also means stock. Again, that's not cash value. But nevertheless, she continues saying, quote, this is giving 2008 vibes when companies exploited workers because the job market was tough. I started my career in that environment and it led to a workplace trauma and burnout. I was so hopeful that the last couple of years would turn something around, but big corporations are still prioritizing their bonuses over the well-being of their team. Just gross, unquote. Ridiculous. And yet, 341 people reacted to her. Let me pull up the breakdown. 266 gave her a thumbs up. 35 people thought it was insightful. Only 26 people laughed at her. Let's see. Let's go to the comments to her comment. Geez, are all these... Again, it's another top comment from Leslie Schuff. I apologize. I was about to... Wait. I thought this was an individual, but the pronouns that she proclaims are she and they. And this I was about to say this individual. This Leslie... I'm not trying to be overtly offensive. Leslie says, quote, I haven't bought much from Wayfair, so not buying anything more from Wayfair is fairly easy for me. Burnout doesn't help anyone, and since companies won't be around to care for employees like they did like they're in their 70s and feeling the health effects from working themselves over harshly when they're in 20s and 50s, success necessarily included care of the future. so that when you're able to live and enjoy your done companies will have no further use for you. It's just hilarious. Everyone keeps blaming the companies, yet no one notes how much your paycheck is actually taxed before it gets to you. It's a big issue, and the bigger the company is, the bigger the burden is. Just look up how many taxes are taken out of your paycheck before you actually get it. Now, businesses have to pay taxes just to exist in many places and operate. I mean, let's see. Go to Leslie profile. She works at Zoom, not surprised, and she's a technical writer. All right. Are any? Let me see here. Let's see. I'm trying to find any additional comments. Let's see. Other top comments here. Let's see. We'll get one more popular one. Interesting. Now this is okay. There's got to be one guy who actually wrote something. Okay, here's someone. Stuart Wilson. He says, "Quote: Pay employees well, reward them for going above and beyond, and perhaps most importantly, motivate and unify them with a common goal. Then people work hard because they want to, not because they have to. P.S. If your team members work on their vacation, remember that. Encourage a weekday afternoon off now and then." They got 42 reactions, and it's the first major response from a guy. Interestingly enough, let's see here. Of the 42 reactions, you got 37 pluses or thumbs up, 4 hearts, and 1 claps. Only 3 people responded to him, though, interestingly enough. Let's see here. Do one more. Let's see. Oh, wow, another really popular one. Tara Craig says, quote, "I was very, very fortunate early in my career to work for a company that taught all of us to work smart, prioritize, and manage our time, so we got everything done in 35 hours. We crushed it. My coworkers and I all worked together, and we created, edited, and facilitated our programming constantly. Upon leaving, like my coworkers, we will continue to get stuff done in 35 to 37 hours. The CEO of Wayfair saying people should work hard is insulting. The work should be allocated so they can be completed and still enabled. You'd have a great life outside of work. I've run my teams in the same mindset. If the work cannot be done, it means that one, someone hasn't been adequately trained to do so. 2, the work isn't being assigned properly. My brother says there's 24 hours a day, 8 for work, 8 for sleep, 8 for everything else. You'll never get me to believe people should take more time from their families." Well, why not, unquote, why not take time away from your sleep? There's plenty of time to sleep with your dad, obviously. Now, that got 312 reactions. Let's go up to the reactions. 243 people gave her a thumbs up. 34 people gave the clapping symbol. 22 people gave the heart symbol. 7 people gave the lightning bulb insightful symbol. And 7 people gave the hand heart carrying emoji thingamajig. So let's see here. Only in America, and it's one of those things where you'll never get any sympathy from me from any of these articles in terms of, my whole catchphrase is 105 hours a week can't be beat. And I mean that because literally that's usually about how many hours I put in a week. Granted, I have a different motivation since I own the companies, but it's an instance where, again, do you want to change the world or do you want to just clock in and clock out? I mean, what are your goals for and again, I'm not saying, well, I guess I'm biased. I think my goals are different, or I think I would argue they're better, but it's one of those things where not everyone wants these certain things, but you don't deserve a bonus if you just put in, 30 hours a week, unless you're getting some phenomenal results. But it's fascinating to see kind of the breakdown of everyone who's complaining about this feedback. And again, I look at all these titles, none of them are in sales, which I guess perhaps that's for one of the most conservative roles out there, especially when you see your paycheck and go, oh dear God, they're stealing how much? All my bonus? Oh, never mind. Another topic for another time. But it's fascinating to see the feedback from this. And again, the CEO is just getting roasted for telling the team that they're going to have to work hard. They're going to have to make some sacrifices. And that's true. Look at every successful company in history. And again, most of those companies, it's not, you're not doing you're not going, 100 hours every single week unless you're an entrepreneur or a startup. It's one of those instances where it's an investment. You're investing in your career, your personal brand. I mean, when I used to work in corporate America, I got promoted because when I was in inside sales, I got promoted to field sales in technology field because I was there an hour before everyone else, and I was there for an hour after everyone else. I would work 2 hours a day outside of the office. I didn't get paid for those hours. I was an hourly employee. And yet, I did it because it's worth building my brand and building my career. And I was eventually rewarded, and that's one of the reasons I was promoted from inside sales to field sales, which is one of the most difficult promotions in the sales industry or sales category of going from, again, your inside sales to actual field sales. We're going and meeting customers and you're meeting your team, everyone face to face. So it's one of those instances, and let me know in the comments if you think I'm right, but it's one of those instances, maybe you think I'm wrong in my assessment. Again, it's also an opinion thing. But again, I'm not too surprised given it's 2023 in the United States and it's such an unprecedented amount of entitlement in the United States. I'm not too surprised the CEO is getting roasted for telling the people that, hey, there's probably going to be some tough times ahead in 2024. We're going to have to make some sacrifices if we really want to stay in the business, keep this company going in the right direction. So let me know in the comments, do you think this will really cause a shift in consumer spending? On average, if you look at who controls the household income or the household spend, women do, again, we're talking about average families in the United States, women do control a lot. Women are the ones who are going out there and buying all these things, all the furniture and all this stuff, whereas men usually just, make their own stuff. So that is a part of their target market. And we're seeing some of the comments where these gals are saying, I'm going to shift my spending because of what the CEO is saying. So do you think this could have a detrimental effect on their stock, on their sales, and the trajectory of the company? And do you think employees will quit because of this? As usual, it'll be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Again, we're trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of December. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, leaving a like also helps the video with the algorithm, and the feedback with the comments is greatly appreciated. Lets me know how I can make the show better and better. Also, lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.